In this video, we'll talk about how to configure your settings to optimize and get the most out of your WordPress site. Now, we're going to cover a lot of ground in this video, so if you're ready, let's dig in. The General Settings panel controls the most basic configuration settings for your site, like your site's title, tagline, and web address. The admin email address is where WordPress will send automated email notifications for things like new user registration notices. Choose whether or not you want your site open to registration. And if you do choose to enable open registration, you'll also want to specify the default role for these new members. It's a good idea to set this to subscriber, since subscribers can read but not publish or edit content on your blog. Next, select your site language, time zone, and the format in which dates and times will be displayed throughout your site. And finally, set your preference for the week starting day. The Writing subpanel controls the edit interface you use to write new posts and pages. First, choose a default category that will be assigned to new posts when no other category is selected. With the all-new block editor, it's probably a good idea to leave the default post format set to standard. Now, you can also post directly to your WordPress site via email. Simply enter the email account details here, and WordPress will periodically check for new messages sent to this address. The subject line of your email will become the post title, and the body your actual post content. So it's a good idea to make this a fairly secure email address, since any messages received at this address will become new posts on your site. WordPress even generates a few random strings you can use for more secure email addresses if you like. Now, you can also specify a different default category for any posts that are submitted via email. And last, when you publish a new post, WordPress automatically sends out a notification to a site update service, which in turn alerts search engines to your new content. And this helps ensure your new content gets indexed more quickly. You can add additional notification services here if you like. There are only a few settings in the Reading subpanel, but they're very important. You can decide whether you'd like your front page to display your latest blog posts or one of your static pages instead. Now, we covered this in depth in an earlier video, but if you select a static page, then you're able to pick which of your pages you want to serve as your home page, and then which one you wish to serve as your blog page. You can also choose how many posts will appear on your individual blog pages at one time, and how many posts will appear in your RSS feed. You can choose to show the complete text of your articles in your RSS feed or just a summary, requiring folks to visit your site to read the rest of the article. And last, choose whether or not you'd like your site to be visible to search engines like Google, Bing, and others. You'll remember that we covered the discussion settings in detail during the earlier video on managing comments. So for now, we'll move on to the Media subpanel, which allows you to set the maximum dimensions in pixels that WordPress will use when creating the various versions of uploaded images, including the thumbnail, medium-sized image, and large image. And I typically choose to organize my uploads into month and year-based folders, which makes it easier to find images that I previously uploaded. And finally, let's talk about permalinks. Now, this can be a confusing topic, but basically, permalink settings simply determine the format of the URLs or web addresses for your pages and posts. Now, by default, WordPress converts the page or post name into lowercase with hyphens in place of spaces. And most SEO experts agree that this is the best format. But you can also add the date to your permalink if you want. And you can create a completely custom permalink structure using the tags provided here. But before you do, you'll want to check out the documentation on custom permalink settings. The default values for category and tag base are usually fine in most cases, but you can change these if you want. For example, if you entered topics as your category base instead of category, the link to your category archive would change to the sample shown here. And finally, as a website owner, you may need to follow certain national or international privacy laws. For example, it's generally a good idea to create and display a privacy policy. Now, if you already have a privacy policy page, you can select it below. If not, you'll want to create one. By default, WordPress creates a privacy policy page for you and prompts you to complete the most important information that a privacy policy should contain. You can also view a handy guide for recommendations on what content to include, along with any policies that are suggested by plugins and themes that you've installed on your site. It's always a good idea to have an attorney review your privacy policy. With that, we've now covered all the major functions and features of WordPress, and you should be fairly comfortable creating and managing your own blog or site content. So this wraps up our WordPress tutorial series, but for more screencasts and training videos, be sure to check back with us from time to time. And good luck with your new WordPress website.